Bianca Bailey.
Yep, sounds like it's long overdue on your end there, Matt. Let's get that done. I suppose we'll both be shocked if Nia Jax now wins this thing.
Yeah,
Yep, fair enough. Well, that's that done. Yeah, and I mean, hopefully that match, gets booked right. You just think with it being the way it is, Matt, that needs time, that match. Like, I would hate it if it's going to be a quick match and you've got to eliminate people really fast. I mean, that just won't come across that good. That's the reason I'm a bit off on this match. So hopefully the women get enough time to tell that story, because I think that could be diabolical if it's going to be like, bang, you're out, and then it's done and dusted. That just won't really work well for me. So hopefully they get enough time on that one. Okay, well let's now head to back to SmackDown, shall we? This is it's been another one where I think the payoffs have come at different stages, but Bray Wyatt, Matt, I guess we can't complain because finally he is the WWE champion. We've been waiting for that for a long old time, haven't we? But he's won it at the Elimination Chamber. He's up against Randy Orton. I got to say, I don't know why the hell Randy hates Bray so much. I don't know why he put himself in this position to infiltrate himself with the Wyatts and done all this stuff to burn down his place, and none of it seems to make too much sense to me. So I've tried to steer away from that as much as I can. On paper, this has the potential to be a great match because both of them are good, and you can definitely see there'll be some good moments in the match. But it's odd, Matt, because Randy Orton is the winner of the Royal Rumble, yet he's got to be one of the most weakest sort of people I've seen. I mean, I know we've had some shockers in the last few years of Royal Rumble winners, don't get me wrong. I think we'll all, we all know that much. But, normally when it's a baby face, you expect there's that big momentum going in to wanting him to be the champion. But to me, I don't get that from the fans. I don't think people are that bothered about him winning the belt. I don't think it's really about him winning the belt on this one. I've been very intrigued to see how everybody, especially the bookies, have proceeded, that they did make Randy firm favourite, because that shocked me a little bit on that. But then again, you look at what happened at the Royal Rumble, he was almost firm favourite there, so they got that right, so you never know. But for me, I've got to say, unless Bray wins this, I will be really disappointed, because A, I want them to have a great match, and secondly, I think Bray, if you look at his run at WrestleManias, he's fought John Cena. Obviously, no worry, not a massive big thing about losing to a guy like John Cena. The same as The Undertaker, not a massive thing there. A year later, he had the whole segment with The Rock. So he's been in there with some huge names. But like most things Bray's done, he's never backed up what he said. Now, if he loses this title match at WrestleMania, that's 1 month that he's had it for. Yeah, it's a big deal that he's going in as the champion. I'm not going to argue that point. And of course, it's better than him doing something else, like just being involved in a battle royal or something. But if they really are serious about Bray Wyatt now, Matt, he wins this, doesn't he? Surely.
Yeah, you gotta hope so. I mean, the amount of time it's taking for him to get his single title, it would be really bad for his character just to lose it in a month, and it would be capping off his whole career, really. He's always been the guy that's come close, but as soon as it comes down to the payoff, he's always just let it slip, and you don't really want that to stick. He has to win this just to retain credibility.
Yeah, I'm with you. As far as the match goes, Matt, I mean, can these two have one of the best matches of the night? Because people are actually sort of saying that we've been overlooking this a little bit, and that this could be one of the match stealers of the night, even more so than Owens and Jericho. What do you think about that, Matt? Is there a certain thing that has to work for this, or do you think there is good chemistry between these two?
I mean, all along I've said this would be a good match, and all along I've said that even when we was talking about Royal Rumble, I said Randy Orton was a great plan B because he can go to WrestleMania and put on a great show. There's no denying that. Randy Orton can work with nearly anybody in the company and do a good match. And also, similarly with Bray, he's great. He hasn't really had his time in the spotlight like a lot of other guys have, but this is his time now, and I'm hoping he's going to make the most of that, and this is the time to show it. And yeah, I think they will have a good match. I think it'll be a very good match. It's just difficult to pinpoint like who is going to be the winner, but if they want to make it logical and they want to actually look to the long term and the bigger picture, I'd say Bray should win.
Yep, fair enough. Well, there's our predictions there, folks. And I know people will say, well, what about, poor Orton? He had to go through Lesnar last year. He done that job. He got, busted open big time. Yeah, Matt, before we move on with this, the whole thing with him, Luke Harper, and then it was AJ, has that been a bit of a mess for this feud as well, do you think? Because we was expecting a triple threat as well in all this, and God knows what else. What do you think happened there? Do you think that was planned, or do you think there was something went on there that perhaps didn't come out too much? Because it didn't look planned when you looked at the match that Orton had with Luke Harper, for instance, at that pay-per-view. The way they did that, or do you think it was planned all along and they were just getting people sort of worked in? Because at one time, Matt, it felt like they were going to go to a triple threat and not have Orton turn until the night, and that would be the big thing. And then they just executed it anyway. And again, that feels like another thing that's been done before we've got there. But what's your thinking into that, Matt? Was we sort of like shown a different path, and you think there were plans changed and back and forth, or do you think that was planned?
It really felt like a massive mess, didn't it? I mean, if they did plan that was some incredibly bad writing on their part, and for WrestleMania, that's just not good enough. But I gotta say, I would go with my gut feeling saying it wasn't really planned that way, and that something was throwing a spanner in the works. But obviously they overcame it and they went with what they were originally planning. But I just wish they'd just totally gone off the cuff and just done the triple threat. AJ in this match would have been so much more beneficial than fighting Shane McMahon. Yeah,
absolutely. The only thing I wish with this match is that it was the other way round, that who was holding the belt. I wish it was Orton holding the belt, and I wish it was Bray that had won the Rumble, and going that way would have been my way for this one. But nonetheless, we get what we get. Okay, Matt. Well, it's the most talked about person on our podcast. He's finally got to get it here. Really, Roman Reigns. He gets the match with the Undertaker this year. At first, I wasn't massively sold on this, but now this match, Matt, seems to have week by week got more and more momentum. Especially with the idea that possibly, Matt, more than ever, this could be the Undertaker's last WrestleMania. And that being said, a lot of rumours what on earth is going to go on last, because there's a lot of suggestions here that it could be Orton and Bray, because Orton, won the Rumble, he gets the main event. Is it possible? Would it be Brock and Goldberg? That's who I would have gone with. Certainly last week, but now it seems Roman and Taker is another possibility to go on last, which obviously doesn't have a title on it. But I will say this much, Matt, and I said this to you earlier in a message. If that is the last match, that's Taker's last WrestleMania for me. That just says that to me. That would be a gesture to say, you go out last for your last one. And that is probably the last we'll see of The Undertaker, because for me, why else would it be there unless it's going to have some huge significance for me? So, yeah, I think if that gets all the way to the end, my prediction is that is the last time you'll see The Undertaker at a WrestleMania, quite frankly. And maybe done in period. Matt, what do you make into that being the main event? And, should it be the main event without a title? If that's the case, or would you rather see one of the titles headline?
No, I'm much the way you're thinking, that if that is the main event, then yeah, definitely that should be Undertaker's way of sort of leaving wrestling. Because it's hard to say, because they haven't really booked anything along those lines. There hasn't been any storyline that if he doesn't win, that he has to go. It's just I would hope that they would have made it more obvious to the fans, and that would have made them invest in this match a little bit more, because this match is going to get more stick than it deserves if that's the case. Because a lot of people are going to go in there with instant heat towards Roman, and they're just going to sort of joke about this, like chant stupid things, when really this match, if it is Undertaker's last one, it should get a hell of a lot of respect. And of course Roman is going to come into this match with a lot of respect. He's not just some guy, even though he is the guy or whatever he calls himself. But yeah, he comes into this with a wrestling background. It's in his family. This is something that means a lot to him, and I'm sure he's going to be a hell of a lot respectable to the Undertaker. And I'm quite interested to see about how this match goes down, because one way or the other, it's going to be a big match and a big indicator to where we're going in the future of WWE.
Yeah, what's interesting when you said that the WWE played this up too much as being the Undertaker's. What makes me think that is a possibility, Matt, is when you think about the streak. I remember that year when he lost against Brock. They didn't really make a big deal of that either going in. Like, you thought that would be one of the few. Like, when you see him beat CM Punk the year before, you thought, same thing with Brock really is going to happen. It'll be maybe closer. But the way it was done, it was very low key. It just come out of nowhere, which got that huge shock. I kind of feel the same with this. I think Undertaker is just one of those guys that just doesn't like a lot of fuss. And the way he would do it is very much like this. This has got all the signs for me of being the way the Undertaker would want to go out. More quiet than anything, because he's not going to keep wanting to go out on a promo going, this could be my last WrestleMania and all the rest of it. Although we have heard Roman indicate that a few times about retiring. Matt, I know you sent me something when you sent me something about Triple H, what he said about Roman Reigns, Matt, about the whole heel turn here, and the likelihood is slim. Just for everybody that doesn't know about that, what did that kind of message send to everybody that is expecting a heel turn here, Matt?
Well, it's kind of something you said a number of months ago, isn't it? That Roman right now is a classic, like, undercover kind of heel,
Yeah.
What is the purpose of a heel? To get heat, to get booed, to get your hate. And there's so many people hating Roman now that a heel turn isn't really necessary, is it? Because people are coming out there, 70% of people are booing him, giving him hate, and actually just can't stand the guy. And that is like a great heel in a sense. Yeah. So why would you change that? Why would you need to? And then on the other hand, if you're like a Roman fan, he's something different to you, You're watching a guy, he's your hero, he's standing up for what you believe in. So they're kind of getting the best of both worlds. And in a sense, he's kind of one of the rarest kind of wrestlers, because, he's playing two roles in one, essentially.
Yeah, it's a very interesting spot that he has. It's a tough one to call, this one. I mean, as far as the match goes, Matt, do you think that that even Undertaker at his age now, they can pull off something here that's going to be, I don't think we're expecting Shawn Michaels Undertaker level, but something that will go down well. Because the only thing I fear for is a lot of times with Roman, it sometimes comes down to his opponent doing a lot of the, calling those big spots. Now, with the Undertaker being in the condition he's in, does he need someone who's more of a workhorse than someone like Roman, who isn't always on board with doing that kind of stuff? Or do you think they can make this into a kind of a stiff, kind of strong style kind of match where maybe it'll be more about Undertaker doing the old submissions and taking it a bit slower with him? How do you think the match will go, Matt, in that sense, with the chemistry?
I think it will have to be a kind of slower paced, hard hitting kind of match. I just feel like for Undertaker's own benefit now, he's not going to be able to zip around that ring and doing all of his agile stuff. I feel like there will be a lot of power moves, and like I've definitely got this kind of feeling that the Hell's Gate's going to get locked in and Roman's just going to do his typical, I'm super strong, I'm going to lift you up and powerbomb you, that kind of situation.
Yeah. As far as prediction on this one, Matt, who's your gut telling you?
Oh, difficult. My gut is telling me Roman, but